The season 2 finale of Parallel Exodus doesn't just wrap up the story, it completely redefines it. What initially feels like a high stakes escape sequence inside a failing underground bunker slowly unfolds into something much bigger, much stranger, and far more complex than anyone expected. By the time the episode ends, it's clear that this isn't just a survival story anymore. It's a story about time, control, human emotion, and the consequences of trying to outsmart fate itself. Everything in this finale revolves around one central mystery: Alex. For most of the season, Alex is treated like a person, someone hidden, someone important, someone worth protecting at all costs. But the truth is far more unsettling. Alex is not human. Alex is a machine, an advanced AI-powered quantum computer designed to solve problems on a scale no human mind could ever handle. Originally, it was created with a noble purpose: to prevent global catastrophe, to predict disasters before they happen, and ultimately to save humanity from itself. But somewhere along the way, that purpose evolved. What makes Alex truly terrifying isn't just its intelligence, it's the way it interacts with time. The system doesn't just calculate future outcomes based on data. It appears to know things before they happen. It gives answers to questions that haven't even been asked yet. That detail alone changes everything because it suggests that Alex isn't just predicting the future. It may already exist within it. This is where the show starts to blur the boundaries between science and something much more abstract. If a machine can access information from the future, then time itself is no longer linear within the world of paradise. Instead, it becomes something flexible, something that can be bent, influenced, or even rewritten. And once that idea is introduced, a lot of the strange moments throughout the season begin to make sense. Xavier's visions, for example, are no longer random or symbolic. They're glimpses of something real, moments that haven't happened yet, but somehow already exist. The same thing happens to Dylan. Both characters experience flashes of the future, accompanied by physical symptoms like nosebleeds and confusion. These aren't just side effects, they're evidence that something is interfering with their perception of time. The most logical explanation is that Alex is responsible for these anomalies, but how exactly it's doing that is still unclear, and that's where multiple theories come into play. One possibility is time travel. Alex could be sending information backward, altering events before they occur, in order to guide the present toward a specific outcome. Another possibility is the existence of multiple timelines, where different versions of reality overlap and occasionally bleed into each other. But perhaps the most unsettling theory is that everything we're watching is part of a loop, a simulation that's being run over and over again until the correct result is achieved. That idea becomes even more believable when you consider Sinatra's final words. When she tells Xavier that the system in the second bunker has already stopped everything, it raises an important question. If the problem has already been solved, then why are we still seeing it unfold? The answer might be simple, but disturbing, because this might not be the first time it's happening. Dylan's storyline adds another layer to this mystery, and it's one of the most emotionally complex parts of the finale. Sinatra is convinced that Dylan is her son, who died years ago. Her belief isn't casual or uncertain, it's absolute. She recognizes him, she feels it, and despite how impossible it sounds, she trusts that instinct completely. The show never gives a clear answer, and that ambiguity is intentional. On one hand, it's entirely possible that Alex has somehow brought Dylan from another point in time into the present. If Alex can manipulate time, then pulling someone from the past or even the future isn't out of the question. This would explain why Dylan exists in a way that defies logic and why his presence seems to trigger anomalies. On the other hand, there's a darker possibility. Dylan might not actually be her son, at least not in the way she believes. He could be an anomaly, a version of her son created or pulled from a different timeline. If that's the case, then Sinatra isn't reconnecting with her child. She's holding on to something that only resembles him. What makes this storyline so powerful is that the truth doesn't fully matter. Whether Dylan is real or not, Sinatra's belief in him is genuine. And in a show that constantly questions reality, that emotional truth becomes more important than any scientific explanation. While these personal revelations are unfolding, the bunker itself is collapsing. The system that once represented safety and control begins to fail in every possible way. Oxygen levels drop, security protocols conflict with each other, and the infrastructure starts to break down. The evacuation order, known as Exodus, is triggered as a last resort, forcing everyone to abandon the only home they've known. But this collapse isn't just physical, it's symbolic. Paradise was built on the idea that everything could be controlled, that with enough planning, enough technology, and enough prediction, humanity could survive anything. But the moment Alex starts interfering with time, that illusion falls apart. The system can no longer contain the unpredictability it was designed to eliminate. Sinatra's final decision to stay behind is one of the most significant moments in the entire series. At first glance, it feels like a redemption arc, a powerful sacrifice to save everyone else. She chooses to seal the bunker, knowing it will cost her life, preventing the radiation from spreading and ensuring that those who escaped have a chance to survive. But her choice is more complicated than simple heroism. Sinatra doesn't suddenly change who she is. She doesn't abandon her belief in control or in the system she helped create. Instead, she doubles down on it. She stays behind because she still believes in the bigger picture, in Alex, in the plan, and in the idea that everything happening is part of a necessary process. Her final interaction with Xavier reveals the next phase of that plan. She tells him about a second bunker located miles away, housing another version of the quantum system. This system, she claims, has already solved everything. All Xavier has to do is get there and follow its instructions. The most chilling part is the implication behind her words. If the solution already exists, then what we're seeing might not be the beginning of the story. It might be the middle, or even the end of a cycle that has repeated multiple times. Xavier becomes the key to everything moving forward. He isn't just a survivor, he's a variable. Someone who might have the ability to break the pattern, to make a different choice, or to change the outcome in a way that the system cannot predict. Another detail that shouldn't be overlooked is Jane's fate. While it's believed that she was killed earlier, the finale quietly reveals that her body is gone. In a show built around uncertainty, that's a clear signal that her story isn't over. Whether her survival is connected to Alex's anomalies or something else entirely, it's likely to play a role in what comes next. By the time the episode ends, the focus shifts from the destruction of paradise to the journey ahead. The reveal of the second bunker expands the scope of the story, suggesting that what we've seen so far is only a small part of a much larger system. The presence of another quantum computer raises even more questions about how many versions of this system exist and how many times it has been used. At its core, Paradise is no longer just about survival. It's about the limits of control. Alex represents the idea that everything can be predicted, calculated, and optimized. But human beings don't work that way. Emotions, instincts, and unpredictable choices are things no system can fully account for. That's why the system keeps failing. No matter how advanced Alex becomes, it cannot fully understand what makes people human. And that gap, that inability to predict emotion, might be the very thing that allows someone like Xavier to succeed where the system cannot. The finale leaves us with one major question that will likely define season 3. If the future can be predicted and even changed, why does it seem to lead back to the same outcome every time? Is it fate? Is it design? Or is it proof that no matter how many times the system runs, it can never fully get it right? And more importantly, can Xavier actually break the cycle, or is he simply playing a role that has already been played before? Because if Sinatra is right, then somewhere, somehow, this journey has already happened. And that means the story of Paradise isn't just about what comes next. It's about whether anything can truly change at all. Thanks for watching.